that without being on unmuted here too. Sorry, guys. Just opened the Board of Adjustment meeting. Is Courtney on? Oh.
Big screen.
Let me start this slideshow. Take a look.
No, it just didn't look like it was showing your screen over here. Okay. All right, guys. There we go.
There we go. We're in business now. All right, Laura, if you would, give us a staff report for 25 Glenwood Drive.
Okay, this is here again, 25 Glenwood Drive for Mr. Richard Hanna. He is wanting to build a 20 by 20 garage next to, well, it's actually in his backyard, but he wants to be within the 8-foot required setback. In the staff report, you can see that he has supplied a drawing of where he would like to put the proposed garage. He would like it within 6 inches of the property line. Our regulations require it to be 8 feet off the side of the property line, so he is requesting a variance to be within that. The applicant, I believe, is on the Zoom call with us to answer any questions if anybody has any questions for him. The fire department, as you can see in the staff report, does have some concerns with the building being that close to the property line. Even though it is adjacent to a vacant piece of property, that property potentially is not going to always be vacant. So whomever buys that neighboring property and builds on that, if this structure is this close to the property line, it could cause some issues for the adjoining property owner down the road.
All right, is the, any other questions for Laura? Is the applicant on Zoom with us?
I am.
Okay, Rick, you want to just introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Ricky Hanna. I live at 25 Glenwood Drive, and like you heard, my house is on a little over 1 acre, but the lot is very narrow. Right now, we've mostly been parking our car. Well, we have two cars. We've mostly been parking in the front yard. We'd like to be able to put the building in and have it set back off the house a little bit so that we could drive into it. Basically, keep them out of the elements and also have a little bit of storage.
This is a proposed 20 by 20 new structure. Is it wood framed or metal or?
Yeah, it's a tough shed from Home Depot, basically the 20 by 20 tough sheds that they sell with the 16-foot garage door.
Okay.
Is there an existing slab or any reason that it has to go where drawn is drawn?
Well, there's not an existing slab. I'm the only house in the neighborhood that still has a gravel driveway. So what I would like to do is pour the slab and actually pave the driveway and be able to drive into it. If I put it, like I said, my lot's pretty narrow. If I put it any more off the property line, it would be hard to use. It'd be hard to get in and out of. because I'd have to drive around and turn into it. But not only that, it would obstruct the view of the yard, and I have kids that play back there. On the other side of the house, that's where the utilities are. That's where the water's buried and everything. So I can't put it over there. And I also don't have a driveway on the other side.
Well, Laura, the fire department's looked at this and has an opinion on it. Do you guys have an opinion on this? Yes, sir.
The opinion that we had was that it would cause due hardship to the new owners of the property next to his, because if they build within 6 inches of the property line, which y'all require a minimum of 8, then that's going to put a hardship on them wanting to build where they need to and are allowed to, if y'all allow us to be within 6 inches of the property line.
How far off the property line is the existing shed?
That I don't know.
It's a portable shed.
It's a portable shed.
I'm just wondering how far it is off the line, you know, looking at it now. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
pretty much about where he's walking. The garage, isn't it?
It looks like it based on the photos. Ricky, do you know that, how far your existing shed is off the property line?
I do not off the top of my head. I think it's pretty close though. I think it's within the 8 feet. I don't know when that ordinance got put in. Like I said, I still have a gravel driveway, so it might not have been in. And then my yard and the yard next to me are unplatted, so they're the only 2 yards in the neighborhood that are not lots. And I have talked to my neighbor to try to buy a strip of land because he has 2.4 acres for sale, but he doesn't want to break it up. So I've tried to figure out every way possible to make this work.
Ricky, one thing I looked at, just from your layout standpoint, if you could slide it back so that it is still more of a straight shot down your driveway, back and then out, looks like that could solve the issue and not require a variance.
Yeah, I went out there with a tape measure. Like I said, it would be really hard to see around it, and it would still require me to. It would require my wife and I to turn in to it somehow. So we'd probably have to make it diagonal.
Either diagonal or if you just back it off of it. I don't know if you can see this. This is a sketch I did. You can see that on the screen there. But if you slide it back about another 20 feet and then over 8 feet, you see that little vehicular diagram of what a car might look like coming out of that. It still keeps your line of sight and a straight shot approach to the driveway, but then offsets it enough so that you don't have to get within that setback.
Okay.
There's plenty of back setback.
Yeah, it looks like there's plenty of space to shift it back just a little bit, and that would keep you where it's a straight shot back.
Yeah, it would put it farther away from the house, but if we have to be 8 feet off the line and there's no way around that.
We do. I don't think we can grant a 6-inch setback, especially if somebody builds next door to you. That's really a fire hazard to whatever somebody would have adjacent to you.
Is there any type of structure, if it wasn't wooden, if it was all metal or brick or something like that, that would allow it to be closer?
Yeah, I don't think, the Board of Adjustment has not voted, but I don't think that that's going to pass the commission here. But we can certainly do that if that's what you want to pursue, or if you want to pursue the idea of sliding it back and setting it back, we can entertain, well, we can just basically table this item.
Yeah, I mean, the closer I can get, the better. You know, the farther away it is from the house, the more we'll have to walk in the rain and things like that. But I'm just trying to do something. So I'll look into moving it even farther away from the house, I guess.
If you're amenable to that, that's great. We'll just table the item off the agenda here, but if you want us to vote on it, we certainly can. Your call.
I mean, I would like for it to be voted on.
Okay. Any commissioners have any other questions of the applicant? While we're in the Board of Adjustment, is there anybody else here to speak for this item? Or to speak against it?
Got a waiting period, Chad, if we don't table it, we voted it down, we can bring it back.
That's right.
But if he moves it off of the building line, then there will be no reason for.
That's right.
Compliance.
Okay.
Yeah, if he would keep it 8 feet off, he doesn't have to come back here anyway.
Okay.
Doesn't look like, I mean, I'm looking at that, where that fence is, and the fence is actually a line. That, the building that he has right there, that structure, I mean, it's not 6 inches away. It's further away than, I mean, it's gotta be at least 4, 6,
Couple feet,
close
yeah.
to 8 feet away. And it just seems to me like that if he put the edge of the building somewhere in that range, you know, it's gotta 6 inches. Is the option.
Yeah,
It looks like there are options out there to be compliant. It may not be ideal for what he's
right.
under. Perfect situation for him, but it's a much better situation for the overall neighborhood.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
A motion to approve from Commissioner Byrd. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Lowe. Roll call, please.
Byrd,
No,
Lowe,
No.
Prater,
No.
Mowdy,
No,
Urban,
No.
All right. 5-0, that motion is denied. So, Mr. Ricky, we can either get it in compliance, or I think you'll have to, was it delayed back in, not next month, it's a year, yeah.
What's that?
So I said it's either it'll have to be built in compliance with the current ordinance, or if there's another variance request, that can't be brought back to the Board of Adjustment for another year.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
Because that's the ordinance. If you got any questions, man, we'll call Laura Nobles and she can kind of walk you through the process.
Okay.
All right. Let's go ahead and close out. Thank you, Ricky. Let's go ahead and close out of our Board of Adjustment meeting, and we'll go over into our Planning Commission meeting. If I could get a roll call for planning.
Byrd,
here,
Ward, Lowe,
Here.
Young,
Here.
Prater.
Here.
Mowdy.
Here.
Urban,
Here.
All right, guys, same thing. Approval of minutes from our last meeting. If I can get approval or corrections.
Motion to approve.
A motion from Lowe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Prater. A roll call, please.
Byrd,
yes,
Lowe,
Yes.
Prater,
Yes.
Mowdy,
yes.
Urban,
Yes.
All right, I've got minutes are approved. I've got 7:16. We'll go ahead and open our public hearing. If you go ahead and read the first item on the agenda.
rezone lot 59, Spring Valley subdivision phase 2, Kirkland Drive from O1 to C3.
All right, Laura, if you would mind, give us a staff report, please.
Okay,
Okay, this is a rezone, located at 1 Kirkland Drive. It is actually a lot at the corner of Highway 5 and Kirkland Drive. The applicant is wanting to rezone it currently zone to 01, which is the office 5 business district, and they want to rezone it to C3 and open display commercial. As you can see, the property again is located at Kirkland and Highway 5. It is just north of an existing commercial development center. The applicant the lot does meet the minimum lot size for the rezone of a C3. The closest commercial districts, as you can see in the staff report, there is a zoning graphic and there's a land use map. On the land use, this area, there is commercial already existing in the vicinity and down the corridor of Highway 5. The land use map does show that we will have commercial planned for this area. It is up against some residential on the back side of it. I believe the applicant is on the call with us. He is wanting to build an office building with a warehouse for his business that he currently has in order to store some of his business. He does need a C3 to be able to have open display. He's got a small sketch of what he's looking at doing. Again, it's just a rezone supply, just a sketch of what he is thinking of having an office as well as a rezone off of the Highway 5. Answering questions that y'all might have for him.
All right, thanks, Laura. Is the applicant on with us?
Yes, sir.
If you could introduce yourself.
I'm Smokey McMahon.
All right, Smokey. Give us a little bit of background on what you're wanting to do.
Well, basically, I own a heating and air business along with a sister business as a mold remediation business. And I'm kind of looking at building, an office structure there to where I can kind of have storage and everything, more than anything else for my heating and air business, but obviously some of my supplies and stuff for the mold remediation side over there off that lot.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Smokey. Commissioners have any?
Yes, sir.
With the C3 and a heating and air business, what do you have? Does that necessarily mean open display?
Well, I was kind of told that basically being sales and service, I had to go C3. So that's kind of the route that I went. I'm looking at using about half the lot, to be honest with you. But I don't really know, man. I just want to make sure I can get whatever I need to be able to build what I need. And obviously the way it was already kind of set as Office 1, that wasn't going to work. That's what I was being told. So that's kind of why I'm here with you guys today.
Okay. So Laura, there's a C2 just below it to the south and across the street.
Yes.
Court regulations, C2 doesn't meet up with what Mr. Smokey's wanting to do.
Well, I think it does with a special permit from what I'm reading, but C3 kind of definitely meets the standard, and that way I don't know what I'm going to do with the other side of the lot. It's a big lot, so down the road, to me, we're all growing this thing here in Cabot. I don't know, I don't know. Highway 5's growing.
It is.
So that's kind of where I stand with it. Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioners have any other questions for Smokey or for Laura?
C3 would open up to, in the future, for any use if he's not there, correct? It opens up for a gas station.
Correct.
Anything else?
Yeah.
C2 would not do that, correct?
C3 allows you for open display where you can have it out in the hours. But what he is wanting to do particularly, if he went to C2, he would have to have a special use permit.
What the heating and air business display outside?
From my understanding, and Mr. Smokey can answer this question he is wanting to purchase some units in bulk, and he would have those outside.
But they could be
And some
behind
of
the
his
fence.
supplies as well for heat and air.
We're behind a fence?
Yes.
Yeah, not open display, not like car dealerships or, you know, storefront mannequins or,
No.
so if it's behind the fence, I just wonder if C2 would be more appropriate, if it's screened out of view and out of sight.
I believe even for his type of business though, he would have to have a special use permit even in season for heat and air contractors.
Well, I was told, I guess, you know, by somebody else that was on the city council earlier that basically I had to like go like 40 feet up from the back of the property line and, you know, build a privacy fence across there. And that's what I planned on doing. And then kind of building on the front end of the lot, which obviously looking at the lot size, it's big on the far side. You know, so I was planning on building kind of on the, you know, the top side to where it's a little bit smaller and kind of cutting that thing in half and leaving that bottom side a little bit more open. And that's why I was, you know, asking for C3. Because I don't know, I mean, down the road, to me, that bottom side of that lot, it's a whole lot deeper on the back end. And I don't know, I mean, somebody might want to come in there and do something else with it. Or, I mean, I might want to do something else with it, you know. I don't know.
Replat
At
it.
this point, yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it's a complementary rezoning personally. I don't think that C3 or C2 is out of the question for that O2, especially since there's C2 adjacent to that. So I don't think there's a big deal either way.
What's the buffer
Yes, sir.
behind it?
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, do you know what the buffer requirement is, Laura?
Off the top of my head, I don't. But just with him being a contractor in a utility company, which he would be considered a contracting company, he would not be able to go into a C2 zone. He has to be in C3. So for heat and air to be a contractor company, because he's going to have material there, he would have his trucks there. He would be considered a contractor, and those are only permitted in C3.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other discussion or questions, commissioners? If not, I entertain a motion. Oh, got somebody? Yes, sir. If you come up and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Don Pitkin. I live just right across the street there on number 2. I built up there like 26 years ago in a residential area. I'm not gonna how C3 going in there. It could be a service station, whatever, you know. It's a nice bright neighborhood right now. Always has been.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough accidents out there at 5 and Kirkland as there is. We don't need more traffic there.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm concerned about that going in as a C3.
Yeah.
It's a zone that's a quiet office now.
Yeah, certainly understand that.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm sorry, but I mean, you know, just for me to say, I mean, obviously, I'm planning on, you know, building that privacy fence across the back and keeping that woods there. So, I mean, I'm trying to keep it residential. I understand where, you know, it's residential on the back end. I get it.
I don't live out the back. I live straight across the street. I'm on the other corner.
You
right
what?
across the east side,
North side of Kirkland.
North.
no, north side. Oh, okay.
I'm straight across.
There ain't nothing on the north side but woods.
Just sitting there and number 2 has been there.
On that side road.
Yeah, see,
Kirkland.
right off Kirkland,
That's your driveway.
right there.
Out there.
I got you. Well, like I said, I mean, you know, we're not going to cause any, you know, problems over there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be a quiet. Basically, to me, it should have been, you know, I should have been able to do this under quiet commercial anyway. Because I mean, I get it, we're sales and service, but basically, we're like quiet office. Because ain't nobody going to be in and out of there. I mean, we're just using it for storage.
But like you said, if it's zone C3, at some point you could do something, you could do whatever you want with it.
Do what?
If it's zone C3, you talk about building on one half of the property, you can do whatever you want.
Well, I don't know what I'm going to do with the other side of it. I mean, I bought it.
That's why
I mean, the fact of the matter is that ain't going to be on the front side close to you.
Don, if you can keep your comments directed to us, and Mr. Smokey, if you can.
Okay, I apologize.
No, that's okay. If you can keep your comments directed to the chairman. That's.
I mean, you know, yes, sir.
So Don, we understand your concern. It is an appropriate use in terms of the land use plan that we've developed. I mean, anything along, that little corridor through there is growing and becoming C2 along that avenue. But yeah, we appreciate your concerns and your input.
So there's really nothing I can do about it.
You've let everybody know your feelings, so that'll go into the vote. So yes, sir. Thank you. Is there anybody else here to speak against this item or for it? All right, seeing none. Commissioners have any other questions or comments? Seeing none, if I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
A motion to approve from Prater.
Second.
Second from Irving. Roll call vote, please.
Bird,
No.
Lowe,
No.
Prater,
No.
Moudy.
No.
Irvin,
No.
All right, was that 4-0? 5-0? All right, the motion does not pass. Rezoning does not pass. Mr. Smokey, man, we'll get together with Laura to discuss the next steps. Let's move on to the next item of business. We're going to close the public hearing and go to item 7A. Kim?
do we have another reason?
Oh, I'm sorry. I've skipped ahead. Item B. Sorry.
Rezone lots 22 through 27, Judkins, West Main Street, and Highway 89 from O1 to C2.
All right, Laura.
Okay, this is multiple lots at the corner of Main Street, East Main Street and Pine Street. They are wanting, it is currently zoned O1, they are wanting to rezone it to C2. The property does meet the C2 requirements. It does border against some residential on Monroe Street, which is on the back side of it. As you can see in the staff report, we do have the current zoning graphic, which shows it to be zoned O1, and then the future land use map shows that corridor part to be general commercial. So this does fall in line with what the land use map that we currently have. So I believe Mr. Williams is here to represent the applicant as well. So I can let him speak on anything that he needs to as well, unless you have any questions.
Any questions, Laura? No. All right, Tim?
I saw this at the city council meeting last night. I'm doing this to protect you more than me. Yes, I have prepared, well, first, my name is Tim Williams from Williams Engineering. I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation that Chad, you
I did.
I'll take you through it real quick and kind of point out what we're wanting to do. And I do have with me tonight Miss Susan Haas, and she is the wife of late Dr. George Haas, which if you've been around Cabot very long and know you Dr. George. And anyway, so she's here tonight representing the trust that owns this property. This is 0.92 acres, lots 22 to 27 Judkins Addition at the northwest corner of Pine and Main Streets. There is a copy of the survey of the property that is, back I say, subject property that is 89 Pine Street, and the diagonal street that is Main Street. This is a view of the property looking at the intersection. This is Main to the left, and this is Pine Street to the right. As you can see, it is a vacant piece of property. The owners are wanting to rezone this from O1 to C2. At present, again, this property is vacant. As you know, we've got a lot of properties up and down Pine Street or 89 that is not commercial, it still has houses on it. This is one of the rare exceptions where we have a piece of property that could be ready to build on, the right conditions, so we don't have to worry about taking a house down. We already do have 2 turn lanes there at the intersection of Main and, which is kind of an added bonus. And, whereas on the other reasons we've had of late, we have residential streets along the time, Main could actually be considered somewhat of a commercial street because it does have a left and right turn lane. And that's shown in the next slide. So there's a view of that, and then this is a view of the property looking from Main Street back to the northeast, back towards the property. And just so you'll have something to look at, there's no way no less than developed there, of course, but this kind of shows how a commercial building could sit in there with the adequate setbacks and the ingress and egress. And I know that being away from the Main Street intersection would be important, well over 300 feet of road above that in this situation. In closing, it is our opinion that this does represent the best use of the property for the various reasons described above. And over the past years, we have seen several rezones identical to this down 89. And there's a list of those dated all the way from 2012 to 2016. So what we're doing is very consistent with what's happened in the past. Water and wastewater will be provided by Cabot. Water principally exists along both Pine and Main. The water system will be designed to provide necessary fire protection of the proposed development. Currently, our estimates place water pressure between 60 and 70 psi, which is more than adequate for commercial. Wastewater exists along the rear property line of the subject practice was on Pine Street. And fire protection should be in place. There is an existing hydrant there at the intersection on this property. We thank you for allowing us to present our project and see if you may have any questions. And if I can't answer them, I'm sure Ms. Haas can. You're ready to go.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Commissioners have any questions? Since we're still in public hearing, anyone here to speak for this? Anyone else? Anyone here to speak against it? All right, commissioners, up to you guys.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Mowdy, a second from Lowe. Roll call, please.
Bird,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Prater,
Yes.
Mowdy,
Yes.
Urban.
Yes.
All right, 5-0, motion passes. Thank you. All right, let me get out of that. Back in our appointment commission. All right, so now I'm gonna close public hearing, 7:35. We're gonna go into old business. Kim, if you wouldn't mind reading 7A.
Preliminary plat, lot 1, Carson Edition, Bond and Associates.
Laura?
Okay, as you're aware, this was brought to us last month. The reason it is coming back again is because the applicant and the engineer are changing the location of how they're going to connect these apartments or duplexes and triplexes to, they were going to last month originally going to access Cabot Drive. Now they have come back and changed their plan to actually access off of Highway 367 now. Last month we did talk about this as the as to why they didn't want to continue on the 367. With their original plan, it did have a loop or a second entrance per se for the fire department. Vaughn can speak on behalf of, you know, why they're changing their route on this, but in essence, the only thing that has changed between, this is the first item of the preliminary plat, the second item is the site plan. There are a few outstanding items, I believe, in the staff report that can be easily addressed. They have provided an ingress egress to the property from the property that is along Highway 367. Even though they're not platting the front part, they did provide a ingress egress from the same property as they do on the front parcel. So that's why this may look bigger, is because it was just with us last month.
Okay. Thanks, Laura. Is somebody from Bond on? Anybody here to speak on this one? All right. So Laura, this is the first one's the preliminary plat. The replat is going to encompass the remaining lots, lot 1 as well as the remaining lot. It's going to take in the entire boundary.
Yeah. Right now, they're only platting, just the lot 1.
Just lot
where
1.
The R4M is. The front part is commercial. They're going to plat that. They don't know how that is going to build out.
Okay.
What's the distance between Cabot Ridge and where this drive can come out?
It doesn't meet the driveway requirements, however, that it is an existing driveway.
For how?
Yeah.
Yeah, skipping ahead, but that's the site plan that we'll look at in just a little bit. But okay. Any other questions for Laura on the preliminary plat?
I know we had discussion, we discussed this a lot last meeting, and there were concerns with traffic already at Chapel Ridge, and now we're gonna put driveways.
Well, we'll ignore the driveway for right now, but just preliminary plat
Yeah,
boundary. Let's just vote on this one first, and we can handle the site plan next.
Fire department's good with this.
What's that?
Fire department. Good with this.
Yeah, I guess do want to check with fire department, probably more so in the site plan, but go ahead and get their input.
I think my comment will probably come more into the site plan, but they corrected everything that we had over last month, and when they resubmitted the site plan, they had a second hydrant at the very dead end, which really does us no good. So I called and talked to Aaron, asked him if there's any way we could put it back in the island that we originally had it planned for. Apparently it was running into a sewer easement. I talked to Tim Joyner, and he assured me there was no reason why they could put that there. So that's our only outstanding comment, is that the second hydrant needs to be in the first island by the fire apparatus turnaround by building 4, not at the dead end street.
Okay. All right, thank you. So let's go ahead and vote on the preliminary plat. Try and get a motion to approve that lot 1 preliminary plat.
I'll make a motion.
Motion approved from Audi. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Irving. Roll call, please, Kim.
Bird, Lowe,
Yes.
Prater,
Yes.
Moudy,
Yes.
Urban,
Yes.
All right, that motion passes 5-0. Let's go ahead and talk about the site plan. As you heard from fire department, the concerns just adding that their hydrant back in.
Yeah, in the staff report, we only have a few outstanding items that are in the staff report that we believe that can be easily addressed, just by them providing, they do have to provide, as we talked about, egress. They are providing it shown on the plat, that I told them that they have, since they're not platting that front part of the property, they must supply an easement document. So that way, even though it's owned by the same person, we still have to have that document. There are just a few minor adjustments that they're going to have to address, but we don't see it as anything that could be a hiccup down the road.
Yeah, Commissioner Lowe, that was my first comment when I reviewed the site plan, was proximity of those drives, but that one being an existing drive. I mean,
What's the distance there?
I honestly don't know.
it looks around 150 feet.
I was going to say, I was 150 to 175. I don't think I would be out of line speaking on what the engineer has shared with me on why they went back with this route. They were, The developer does have an attorney that was going to contact Chapel Ridge. And this developer wants to move forward with this project and didn't want to wait on the attorneys to make sure that access in Chapel Ridge will be permitted. So they're wanting to move forward with this development.
Any other questions from,
Is that still, they have to provide a drainage report still? I mean, because there's a natural ditch through that or something.
They did provide a drainage report, I believe, on the Zoom call. I think Mike Watson's on the call with Pat. Oh, see, he's right behind me, sorry, Ron's right behind me. Everybody have a mask on, can't tell who everybody is. So, I believe the drainage report addressed everything.
I believe it did. I don't have to fill in on that.
And they have on the property a detention pond on site for the drainage. And I believe they have oversized that, if I remember correctly, they have oversized that to accommodate.
Are there turn lanes at Chapel Ridge?
So,
Are there center turn lanes at Chapel Ridge?
no,
No.
well, back on fire department egress and looking at that, I mean, you're basically backing out of that or backing into that hatched area. Is that correct? Is that the hatched area that's on the?
The turnaround between the last two buildings on the lower side is a striped, a fire turnaround access.
Okay.
Even though we would prefer the drawing before this one, which would give us a drive straight through egress all out on Chapel Ridge, I wish they would have taken a little bit of time and waited to see if they could have got that accomplished before reverting back to this one.
Yeah, it seems like it could be a lot more streamlined. I mean, to loop both of them back to Chapel Ridge would just be ideal.
I just think the drive that close to the drive, we already have a lot of traffic. Probably can't get away from.
Yeah, you don't have a ton of density in this, but
Did they do any traffic projections for this apartment complex?
not that I'm aware of.
Because you're going from 2 houses to 9 buildings, I mean,
There are complexes.
10 trips a day, 360 units, so 3,600 cars a day, you're having to a private street, living there right now. I'm not with anywhere around.
It does significantly increase the.
in Chapel Ridge,
I have trouble thinking this is the best time to grow the cabin right there. And I would love to see the department doing that, but I think it's a better way to get to them.
Wasn't the landowner to the south last month, though, wasn't her concern with how far Chapel Ridge is going to back up with traffic? If it was coming on to Chapel Ridge, wouldn't she have that concern? Due to the fact that if you are adding that, now you're going to have people backed out, no light, and now you're going to have a line that is going to, in the mornings before school or whatever, is sitting there backed up. And so her fear was, how you ever going to get out? And I guess there's a playing devil's advocate. At least if you have 2 roads, it's a little easier for people. They're not going to have to like force it out. You know, you're gonna have
yeah, I'll bottleneck into one. Yeah, it does do that for sure. So I guess catch me up the remaining lot that we're crossing through to tie into that drive. That's an access easement across that, or?
It's an egress access easement. That a few months back, they came and they rezoned the front part as commercial, and this back part that we're looking at is more for him. So they haven't got any development on the front porch. They're wanting to leave that commercial and replat it or plat that part later. So they have put in for an ingress egress to this rear property through that front commercial area.
Any other questions from commissioners?
This looks like a lot of density.
At our last meeting, I can't remember, Mr. Ward was asking about connection to that,
First street.
Myrtle up to the north. No one knows what that is.
That would have to be discussed with the engineer. I'm not sure why he's not here tonight or on the calls tonight. Nothing was brought to my office entertaining that. But I think in order for that to happen, they would have to tear down the existing structures that are there for that to happen. And as they said, they're not sure what's going to happen on the commercial side of it.
So the plan is that the residential dwellings would stay there potentially?
Yes. They're currently occupied. I think eventually they would go away, but
And we meet code with the setback, side yard setback requirements between the dwelling units.
Yeah.
Boy, those are tight.
You know, it just appears there's a lot of unanswered questions on this. It'd be nice to talk to the engineer. That's why we're kind of throwing you to the wolves here. And, can we table the site plan on this? Trying to get him here.
Up to you guys. Certainly a sense of urgency of moving forward with a plan, because I think that's probably, since there's so many questions around egress and density and all that, that we'd like to ask the applicant for some input. You'll make a motion to table this till next month or to when they want to get back in front of us. A motion from Prater. To have a second to table this till next month?
Second.
Second from Irving. Roll call, please.
Bird,
yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Prater,
Yes.
Mowdy, Irvin.
All right, we'll table that site plan until next month. All right. Under new business. Kim?
Autumn Brook, preliminary plat, Lemons Engineering.
All right, Laura.
Okay, this is a preliminary plat for a 74 lot subdivision located on Highway 89 South. Some of you may recognize this property because it has come before you multiple times. So it has been redesigned again. It is currently zoned R2S. The lots that are being proposed do meet they actually meet in R1 zoning, but you can always downsize, or you can go in a lower zoning class than what the property is actually zoned. So there are a few outstanding items in the staff report that we believe can be easily addressed by Mr. Lemons. So the staff doesn't have too many. There are a few items in the staff report that we may want to discuss to make sure that there is clarification, to make sure that they can be addressed as well. One of the items, the street department, there are, as you can see, there's multiple streets in this development. And in the staff report, we asked for a couple of the intersections to be three-way stops. I believe Joe's on the call, and I'll let him speak on that behalf, or Ryan can speak on the reasoning for these requests. A few other items in here again. We don't think that there should be any issues to getting them resolved. There was a concern on one of the radiuses of the street that doesn't meet or minor or residential street radius. Our minimum issue is 75 feet in the radius on this particular one curve is 60 foot. That had not been addressed. Mr. Lenz can address that if you would like to. Also, there's a common area that is shown on this preliminary plat. The staff would prefer that this common area go ahead and be addressed during the preliminary plat. Mr. Lenz has told us that the common area is going to be used for drainage and utilities, and then it would be deeded over to one of the adjoining lots. We would prefer that this common area go ahead and be addressed in the preliminary plat as one of the lots, instead of leaving it open as a common area and addressing it later in the final plat stage. And then again, the other items are just small items that we think that we can be addressed. There were some additional comments after the revisions came in, but they weren't very many, or they weren't major comments. So if you have any questions, I can answer them, and then Mr. Lenz can answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Laura? Joe, do you want to go ahead and talk to us about the three-way stops?
Yes, can everybody hear me perfectly?
Yes.
Okay, good. First of all, I'm sorry I can't be there in person, had other things come up. The concern with those intersections are due to the lengths of, looks like Aberdeen Drive and Arbor Trail. It's more of a intersection safety concern and pedestrian safety concern. And since the time that I made the comment about the three-way stops, I have had a little bit more time to speak with Brian Vines on some more viable options on this. And since he is there in person, Brian, I'd like to throw you kind of on the spot there. If you would kind of talk a little bit more about what you and I had discussed, and I think you've got some visual aids there to kind of give different ideas of what might be more suitable.
All right, Brian Vines is that associated. I forgot my visual aid. I think Joe may have sent you down.
Oh.
To get that pulled up.
No, because some of my other email sheet.
We're in trouble because I'm the only visual aid I've got.
Yeah, you're going to like paint a real good picture in there.
One of the things, we probably better stick with me, Stan. One of the things that I've talked with Joe is we're looking at intersection safety. You've got long straightaways and looking for something to kind of calm traffic down so they're not going too fast. The three-way stop, people tend to ignore those if they're not warranted. I don't think there'll be enough traffic in there to warrant the three-way stop. So some of the things we looked at was either bulb out. We don't have a very wide street, so we would be able to bulb it out much. But narrowing that up, we tend to have traffic slow down a little bit, or even putting like a traffic circle or a traffic oval, something in an object in the intersection that would help visually slow the traffic. And I do have a graphic that I worked on. I apologize, but I managed to get out of the office on the cell phone and got everything. But I can send that to you. Any questions?
Okay.
So the thought is to use traffic calming, like a raised pedestrian island or something like that? Yeah. Traffic circle or. Yeah, something to help slow the traffic down. Looking at, with fire department coming in, not doing anything that would impair emergency services, but something to visually help slow down traffic.
And the concern is just because it's a straight run and potentially just a drag strip.
But we put as much curvature to it. The land is the way it is.
Right.
And is there potential for this to connect? That's north and south, with south. future property out there, that could be future lots, very possible. So I think it'd be wise to go and talk about calming mechanism now before you do another 100 lots, go back into it.
Right. No, I agree with that. Okay.
kind of have a tendency to agree with you that the stop sign, you know, in subdivision, you know, they lane and they don't stop. Just because it's there and how do you use that, in subdivision like that, you know,
Stop signs are cheap, but stop signs are, if they're unwanted, they're less safe than not being on.
In fact, well, my name is Tim Williams, engineering. Go ahead and I'll try to address some of these comments for as we were. I have no problem looking at whatever the city wants us to look at as far as traffic calming. I'm cautiously optimistic that what, of course, I haven't seen it yet. What they had there for this property, the lots do exceed the city's minimum, but just barely. So if we have to start putting in additional right of way at these intersections, it could cause us to lose a lot or two. Of course, that just doesn't work for us. So we'll work with the engineer. We'll also work with the city. We'll try to come up with some kind of plan that is satisfactory. We can go back to the three-way stop signs if you want to. I really didn't think it was a good idea either, but that is an option. But I'd like to hear what they got to say. But so give us the permission to use a contingency approval. We'll work with the city to come up with something that will work. On the other items, for the same reason that we need traffic calming, it's another reason that a little turn up here, that is a little sharp curvature that is up towards the upper left-hand side. That's the radius that is in question. The city does have a minimum radius of 75 feet. We went down to 60 simply because not only is it good for our alignment of our lots, but also it too being a curve, a sharp curve, will slow traffic down. So therefore, that in itself is also a calming device in itself. So kind of look at it as if instead of being a straight shot from the intersection up here of lot 2 all the way down to the very last lot in the southwest corner, that curve does break it up just a little bit. And we're not losing any sight distance. We're still going to be able to maintain adequate sight distance whether we're at 60 or 75 or whatever. So we would like to keep that at 60 feet. And it's not a deal breaker if you make us go to 75, but we just think the 60 works just as good, and it does have slow traffic down. And as far as the common area, splitting it up with the adjoining lots, yes, we can take care of that. That's not a problem.
Tim, are you planning on developing this at one time, or is this going to be a phased approach? Or
I think it's probably going to be 2 phases.
can you tell us where that phasing split might be?
Kind of speculation at this point, but I'll walk over here. What we're kind of looking at is build this street first, and about halfway on these 3 streets right here with our first entrance. Then that would be, I guess you would call more or less the southeast half, and then the northwest half would be built phase 2. The people that are developing this are the same people that are putting in Heritage Meadows, and they have 72 lots. Their sweet spot to get about 30 to 35 lots per phase. So this works really good, but it's the same development. So we will, if you notice, we filed a final plat on phase 1 of Heritage Meadows about 3 months ago. They plan to start on phase 2 the next week. We had to wait a couple weeks because of the weather, but they are in the process of working on phase 2. So it will be split in half, but they will be pretty much done one, and the next will start immediately.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask is about temporary turnarounds for fire department. And
We've
what?
already had that discussion with our marshal over here, so we got that worked out.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Tim? So I've got on my list, it looks like traffic calming contingencies include staff comments such as traffic calming devices, radius corrections, common area laying out, Those are some of the big items I had on my list.
One of those items on the radius, can we keep what we have now at 60 foot? Than the 75?
Yes,
Like I said, it's not a deal killer, but it does work to help slow the traffic down.
yeah, that's y'all's call. Staff's call. Joe and Laura, if they're happy, we're happy.
We'll get it.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions? Not, I entertain a motion.
Make a motion with the contingencies.
Motion to approve with the contingencies, second by, motion from Mowdy, second from Prater. Roll call, please.
Bird,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Prater,
Yes.
Mowdy,
Yes.
Urban.
Yes.
All right, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda.
Site plan, lot 2R, Walmart addition, Lemons Engineering.
Oh, 2 weeks. I was, that, for the record, that was a joke. I'm sorry. You got it.
All right.
Okay, our last item is a site plan. It is located in the parking lot, the existing parking lot of where the strip center that houses Maurice's, 10 Fitness, AT&T, and a few other strip centers. There are, as you can see in the staff report, is going to be a proposed retail strip center with a multi-tenant building. There are a few outstanding items in the staff report that we do believe that the applicant can address. I believe some of them actually have already been discussed with the applicant and the fire department for some of them are still outstanding. But staff doesn't feel that any of these items are not items that can be easily overcome and addressed with this release to address the plans. There, as some of you probably already have heard, this area is getting a lot of attention with development coming in. This parking lot also houses where Starbucks is. Starbucks is actually north of this property on the other side of the parking lot, and just due south of where this property is, we have staff has approved a site plan for a fast food restaurant that will be going in the parking lot, in the current Walmart parking lot, just to south of this property. So this property actually has already been replatted quite a few years ago, I believe, into 3 parcels, and this is actually one of the parcels, an out parcel that was platted then. So here again, like I said, there's a few outstanding items that I don't think that are any issues that we can't overcome with Mr. Lynn. So if you have any questions with me, I can address it. If not, I can let Mr. Lynn do his part.
Mr. Lennox?
Actually, Ms. Laura did an outstanding job, and I really have nothing to add unless you have questions for me.
Commissioners? If no questions, entertain a motion. Motion to approve from Byrd. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Lowe. A roll call, please.
Bird, Lowe,
Yes.
Prater,
Yes.
Mowdy,
Yes.
Urban.
Yes.
All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Before we go to community input, I just got a text from Aaron Robinson that he was at a quorum court meeting and just now got on the call. I'm going to ask for a motion to suspend the rules and pull that one back on the table. The Carson Edition Site Plan Lot 1. Can I get a motion to suspend the rules? Motion from Mowdy, second from Lowe. A roll call, please.
Bird, Lowe,
Yes.
Prater,
Yes.
Mowdy,
Yes.
Urban.
Yes.
All right, Aaron, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Sorry you did not get an invite, but we did go over it earlier. We had quite a few questions revolving around egress. Let me go back to that on my screen. Egress, ingress, density.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got it up on my screen now. So I was not at the last month's meeting, so I'm catching up to some of the things were talked about. One of the concerns was the location of the drives. Is this the best location for those drives? I know you're utilizing an existing drive. Also density, traffic counts back onto the street, close proximity to both drives. Can you give us a little more information?
Well, yes, the drive is where Park Drive currently was located. At last month's meeting, we were proposing to eliminate Park Drive and try to funnel all the traffic off of Chapel Ridge Drive. My client had been working with Chapel Ridge on that for a little bit over a month. Attorneys got involved, and basically that deal came to an end. So what we did is we just went back to the original drive, which was Park Drive. The density is, we rezoned that for the high density, and I don't think we're quite at the high density. Each one of those are quadplexes. And the number of trailers that used to be in there when it was a trailer park is actually a higher number than the number of quadplexes that are in there. So the traffic count, even though there's no traffic coming off of Park right now, would be relative to what it was back when the trailer park was in full use.
And so these are single story or two story?
Yes, sir. No, they are single story. They originally they proposed a 2-story, but due to the cost of lumber and everything right now, they went to a single story structure.
Okay. Commissioners have any other questions? That cleared up?
Not really. Aaron, can you expound a little bit on why you originally were connecting Chapel Ridge with your traffic, and now, I understand now why you're not, but why were you originally connecting to Chapel Ridge?
Well, originally, the main purpose to go to Chapel Ridge was to separate the residential from the commercial. When it got rezoned, we rezoned that whole front part to commercial, and the back part we rezoned to residential. So to have that separation between those two uses, it was a better idea to come off of Chapel Ridge, and then that gave more usable land up along the main road. And using Park Drive where it's located, they've essentially, you can't get a building between Chapel Ridge and Park Drive, and due to the setbacks, and so they've lost developable land by not being able to utilize Chapel Ridge, and that was the whole point of using it.
Aaron, tell me a little bit about the detention pond that's there adjacent to the first quadplex.
Well, there's two detention. Yeah, okay. There's two detention ponds. The first one, which is on the north side of Park Drive, is that the one you're asking about?
Yes.
It's just it's a dry pond. It's not a wet pond. And basically what I've done is I've had to build a little block retaining wall next to that one building in order to have it higher, 2 foot higher than the proposed base flood elevation in that area. And so I've widened that out to slow down the water. I've got a control structure on the box that's going to go under the drive to, slow down the water before it all dumps on the adjoining property. And then we've got another pond south of that. That'll be a dry pond as well. And it's basically going to function the same way. So it'll be like a 2-series detention system to try and slow down and the discharge and the volume of water that's going on the adjoining property, which is, the Chapel Ridge Drive and then the Knox property.
What elevation is that retaining wall?
The elevation of the building, if memory serves me, is like I'd lie if I told you. It's about a foot. It's 6 inches to a foot higher than the base flood elevation. I tried to make it just a little bit higher so the water would not back up and get in or around the footing of that quadplex.
Okay.
Aaron, how many, you say there was quite a few trailers in there previously? How many were
Yeah,
there?
and I don't have the original.
You can see the site plan right here.
Yeah, I used to have a copy of that original park layout. There were, if memory serves me, it was 32 or 36 possible mobile home hookups.
I count almost 30.
Yeah. And there's several of them back in the trees that grew up that you actually can't count. If you go to some of the earlier street views on Google Earth, you can actually see some of the older mobile homes that were back in the trees.
Didn't realize there was that many in there.
All right, fellas. Any other questions or comments? Now that entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion from Mounty. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Prater. Roll call, please.
Bird,
Yes.
Lowe,
No.
Prater,
Yes.
Mounty,
Yes.
Irvin.
Yes.
All right, approved 4-1.
I would like to thank you all. I apologize again for getting on here late, but I thank you all very much for allowing me the opportunity to get here on the end part. Just thank you all very much.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Aaron. All right, guys. We'll move on to community input. Anybody from the community? Anybody left in the community? All right, seeing none, entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. All right, guys, see you next year. Y'all have a great Christmas. Happy New Year. See y'all in 2021.
Right.